So it's definitely a very late chapter day. I did apologize for the irregularity last week, so I once again apologize. Um, we're on chapter 3 of Reaper Adventures Protection, in case anyone's wondering. Uh, we're in chapter 3 instead of where we would probably normally be. Sorry about that. But anyway, we can continue, but just don't bring your kids. It's not kid friendly. It's for mature audiences only. I mean, we all know there's no sex scenes, and I don't write the curse words. I just blurt the curse words out because that's me. Yay! Hold up. I forgot a drink, but I have my cup this time. Anyway, don't bring your kids. Not kid friendly. Mature audiences only. No sex scenes. No written curse words. But the destruction... No. But a fight between the Reapers and the first 3 horsemen of the apocalypse, which we passed. That was kind of destructive, wasn't it? It was actually very destructive. Anyway, this is the chapter with the mention of abduction. Not really so much a scene, like I kept saying, but it's more a mention. I just reviewed the chapter, so I know that. There's mention of torture and one or more scenes of torture. And there are mention, or possibly more than one mention, of alcoholism. So if you want to continue at your own risk. Just don't bring your kids. And those are the reasons why. Also, I have a tendency to blurt out curse words. Anyway, we're going to continue. We're on chapter 3. And once again, I definitely apologize for the irregularity of the uploads of my chapters. I have reason, which I might mention later or I might not. That really depends on whether you find out before or after. Chapter 3. The sphere of fire was a mystery when the firefighters showed up. You know, obviously they'd show up. There's a mysterious sphere of fire. Sorry, I had to. Continuing. They ushered the individuals who looked like they had been through hell away from the sphere of fire, and they then began to attempt to put the mystery fire out. Yeah, it is pretty mystery fire. Or at least contain it more in order to go in to get the 2 individuals in the sphere out of the sphere. Even with the fire extinguishers and fire hose, the fire didn't burn any lower. Instead, every attempt to contain the weird fire made it stronger and hotter. Which is never any good. And obviously that doesn't happen with regular fires because you contain a fire with fire extinguishers and fire hose, it always kind of eventually goes out. It doesn't become stronger or hotter. I'm not a firefighter. I'm not a volunteer firefighter. I'm just assuming. Anyway, continuing. The flames were white with a blue flicker by the time the firefighters noticed this and stopped. The bloodied yet somehow unwounded group of individuals knew what they had to prepare for. The fire then sputtered and went out, leaving no trace it had been there in the first place. Oh my goodness, oh no. The 2 individuals were somehow alive and unharmed. Both were obviously shaken, though. I mean, yeah, I would be too, but... It's actually pineapple soda. In case you haven't tried pineapple soda, it's not too bad. It's pretty good. Anyway, continuing. The firefighters carefully approached the 2 individuals, all of them breathing a mental sigh of relief when the sphere of fire didn't blaze to life again. They brought the 30-year-old man and 13-year-old female away from where the fire had been. They gave them oxygen and tended to the wounds they thought were there, only to be mistaken. The blood was dry, but no wounds were revealed underneath the dried blood. All of them were taken to Jeromeson Hospital, though, just to make sure. I mean, yeah, obviously, you want to make sure that everything's okay with people who look as badly wounded as they do. Continuing, all of them were released shortly afterwards. The blood on their bodies were theirs, but they had no internal or external injuries or bleeding. Hmm. The two that had been trapped within the sphere of fire had no signs of any kind of smoke inhalation, major or minor, which would be even more confusing to any emergency worker. I would be extremely confused if I had patients like that just came from that situation. And I'm not saying this because I'm not a nurse or a doctor or anything like that. I'm just saying, if I were, I'd be confused. And I'm rambling, so we're going to continue. Damon, who was still invisible to the normal human eye, was regretting his choice to dial 911. He had panicked, though, when he had regained consciousness, saw the sphere of fire and everyone's unconscious, horribly injured forms scattered like broken dolls on the ground, and then hearing Loki and Mescanet from within the sphere of fire, I'd panicked too. I would have panicked too. Continuing. He had tried to put the fire out at first with his spiritual energy, which would have given him a little headache. He's relatively new in the Reaper business. Continuing. That had only made the fire stronger. Damon had then tried to enter the sphere after creating a shield around himself, and had partially succeeded before the fire cracked his shield, and he had to teleport as quickly as possible before the fire would burn him to a charred, smoking, crispy form. We're not going to say that thought. No. Continuing. Damon had panicked more and had done what he knew what to do when he had been alive. In case you're wondering how he died, listen to the first book. That one would be Reaper Adventures: The Search. Yeah. So I'm going to continue now. After I'm done choking on my spit. Moving on. Damon had dialed 911 and had told the operator about the sphere of fire, unsure if he was heard or not. With Loki and Mescanet shouting for help, though, the operator had obviously sent every emergency personnel available. Yeah. Firefighters, paramedics, and police officers had raced to the scene, arriving seconds after everyone regained consciousness. Thank God for that. Imagine they see these unconscious forms and they think they're dead, so they start putting them in body bags. Ooh, that would have been awful. Would have been an interesting twist, but yeah, I'm glad I didn't do that. Moving on. Cerberus looked at Damon, who was trailing behind them, his eyes downcast and his posture filled with nervousness. You did good, Cerberus said, hoping that even though Damon knew the mistake he had made, I don't know what I was going to do. Oh, there we go. Excuse me, I burped. He knew he had done good. No, I didn't, Damon mumbled. Mistake or not, you did do good, Cerberus stated. Damon was silent. He didn't believe Cerberus, but obviously arguing with Cerberus would prove pointless. Because, when you're new, you tend to make little mistakes like that. And you did do good, but you made a mistake. But still did good. Moving on. Damon lowered his gaze again and remained silent. Mescanet noticed Cerberus glance at her with an unseen, pleading gaze. I will try, Mescanet mouthed to Cerberus's unspoken plea for help on this topic. Cerberus gave Mescanet a quick, grateful smile, and then they went their separate ways. Yes. They freshened up as best as they could in a restroom, apologizing to the maintenance worker before they reached a bus stop. Baoyo had decided to check on the Dragonfire bookstore and cafe, and Cerberus knew better than to object. The Dragonfire bookstore and cafe was like Baoyo's child. She had thought of the concept, gone to courses. Wow, what is gone? I don't know. Gone to courses for business, had bought the space, and had her concept built. I'm kind of stumbling over my words. I apologize. I am sorry. Moving on. She had then made sure everything would work, including the apartment above the Dragonfire bookstore and cafe, and then had opened the Dragonfire bookstore and cafe to the public. A few setbacks had occurred, and she had hired Bart and Ao to work there. I mean, you need workers if you're... Yeah. Anyway, moving on. After some time, Bao had hired someone else for maintenance, and Cerberus had only just recently remembered their name, which was Norman. Not Crazy Catman. Cerberus could never understand anyone's love for the furry spawns from hell itself. I have a love for furry spawns of hell itself. She's fucking adorable. Continuing. Hey, yeah. Why wouldn't I be? Okay, well, I'm busy with a chapter.
Okay.
I figured I'd do that right now. No, you're...
Here.
Ooh!
For you.
Oh my gosh!
Happy early Valentine.
Thank you! Ooh, so pretty. Pretty!
Oh, she's up for you.
Anyway, moving on. I have Valentine's Day roses for early Valentine's Day. Woo woo! Normally I would say Happy Singles Awareness Day, but I'm not single. I'm engaged, so I can't say Happy Singles Awareness Day anymore. Being engaged and all that. Moving on. He was dwelling on that thought when they entered the Dragonfire bookstore and cafe. Nothing was out of place. The place was clean, but something felt off. And not different in a good way. Cerberus looked around the Dragonfire bookstore and cafe, ignoring the thought that it would be sparkling if they were in some television show, and wondered why it felt bad. Cerberus obviously wasn't the only one who felt the wrongness. Now, I apologize in advance if I butcher this, but I don't know much of Chinese in whatever. Yeah. I wonder if I should be playing this song. I should probably move on. Moving on. I have to. Oh, please let me be able... Yay! I can skip the ad! Woo! Continuing. Tianlong, Bao called in a whisper, cautiously manifesting a small orb of her spiritual energy in the palm of her hand. At first there was nothing, and then Tianlong, Bao's dragon in his small form, flew to her and ate the offering of her spiritual energy. You kind of want to keep the pets loyal. Little furry spawn of hell itself. But I love her. Continuing. Tianlong went around cleansing the Dragonfire bookstore and cafe from the presence Cerberus had begun to recognize. When Tianlong completed his self-assigned task, he curled around Bao's shoulders and sent her the mental images of what had occurred. Bao watched the images in silence and rewarded Tianlong when he was done. He accepted his reward and then flew back to his tapestry, once again becoming the dragon design on the tapestry. Yes. Moving on. Norman was taken by the demon in Jeromeson, Bao told Cerberus. There was silence, and Cerberus knew why the wrongness had felt for Middle. I don't know what I was trying to say there. For Middle, yeah. Some weird word combination. Anyway, wrongness had felt familiar. It had been the presence of the demonic prince he had faced, which I believe was the last book. So, yeah, moving on. We have to get Norman back. He is a Reaper, and he doesn't stand a chance against that demon, Bart stated. Ao nodded with agreement. Alright, let's hope we get him in time. Cerberus sighed, and then let his direwolf free from her inanimate form. Oh yeah, he's got a pet too. He gave her some of his spiritual energy and let Snow Spirit, his direwolf, know who they were searching for and why. Snow Spirit found Norman's scent and then motioned for Cerberus, Bao, Bart, and Ao to follow her. They did, and all of them hoped they would be able to rescue Norman before something terrible happened. And that is the end of Chapter 3. I am hoping to do this with more consistent regularity, but I really highly doubt that's going to happen. So I'm hoping for sometime next week I can upload Chapter 4. But for now, we're done with Chapter 3. And yeah, I have some accounts if any of you are all interested. I have a Wattpad account, which is at Tempesta771. A TikTok account, which I have to promote more of my books on because I'm just, yeah. Anyway, I have a TikTok account, which is at Airdrin Craven too. Or maybe you could find it under Tempesta Braveheart. I'm not sure. But just look for at Airdrin Craven 2, no uppercases or space. I have an Instagram, which is under the name Tempesta Braveheart, which is really long, but that one has no uppercases or space. Maybe if you don't want to type that in, maybe you can find it under Airdrin Craven. I don't know, don't quote me, because, yeah. Anyway, moving on. Do you mind, little girl? Those are my roses. Hey, no, roses might not be good for you. I don't know. I love you, but I don't want you eating something that could be poisonous, like poinsettias. Moving on. I have a Facebook account, which is Airdrin Craven. I have a Snapchat account, which is under the same name, Airdrin Craven, except my Snapchat has no uppercases or space. And we're watching my YouTube, which is under the name Tempesta Braveheart. And that is that. We are good. These are actually being relatively short chapters. For now. Anyway, I'm hoping to do this with more regularity, like I said, but I somehow doubt that's going to happen, so we'll try for sometime next week. So in that case, peace out, Girl Scouts, and enjoy the mental hilarity.